Welcome to the Real Guy Podcast. I got Lamont Jones and Norm Beckoff in here today. And I gotta say, Norm showed up smelling pretty good. So it's a way to kick it off, Norm. Appreciate it.
Well, you know, I mean, I kind of gotta offset everything else that's going on around here, you know what I mean? So.
Well, you didn't even hear the last episode we did, but it was big into whether you're sporting Old Spice, Right Guard, Brute 33, Aqua Vulva.
I'm going with Drakkar today.
Drakkar Noir.
Yep, Drakkar Noir. Kicking it old school.
Drakkar Noir.
Yep.
You got that for like Christmas in your Christmas stocking.
Pretty much.
Like 17.
Pretty much. I just found an old bottle and dusted it off and uncapped it, and away we went.
Well, if you guys don't know who Norm Beckoff is, Norm and his father started the water taxi service here in Fort Lauderdale. What year was that, Norm?
That was 1988.
1988. So that was my sophomore year at the University of Connecticut. They started off.
Yep.
And you guys start off one boat?
Well, you were just down the street from me.
Right.
I was at the University of Hartford.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought you meant down the street from you here.
Dude, our whole lives are like 6 degrees of separation.
So you went to Hartford?
I went to UHA for 3 semesters, and then I transferred.
Where'd you go after that?
The American University in Washington, D.C.
That's a heck of a transfer.
Yeah, it is.
we would go to the sorority parties at Hartford.
Yeah.
And the chicks were out of control.
Uh-huh.
For Connecticut.
Let me tell you something. I just had 2 of them down here last week. They came down. I hadn't seen them in 30 years.
Old alumni friends.
Yeah.
From Hartford.
From Hartford. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, see, Norm grew up right here in Fort Lauderdale. And
2 streets over from you?
Yeah, 2 streets over from me, right off Los Olas Boulevard. So the guy's been around here forever. And currently he's running boats right now. He's got his own sport fish boat. What's that, a 20?
It's a 28 Ricky Scarborough center console.
What year is that one?
1977. Hull number 3.
Hull number 3,
yeah,
Ricky Scarborough.
We thought it was number 1, and then Scarborough confirmed that it was number 3.
So Ricky's still alive?
Oh, yeah. Well, man had a 44 built by him in 1984. And so, I mean, I've got a long history with
Scarboroughs.
Scarboroughs and Carolina boats. I mean, they're just simply, you ain't going to get any better than a Carolina boat. I'll go anywhere in the world on a Carolina boat.
So that's like your taste?
It really is.
Well, I'm pretty fired up about the little Ricky Scarborough because Norm and I have plans to go catch a blue marlin right off the coast here of Fort Lauderdale. Yep. And it's really not that big of a deal, but it is good to have the right boat. And then you got to put in a little bit of time, and you got to do everything correct to catch a marlin. And Norm and I have been talking about this, kind of beating around the bush, but we finally decided to actually get a game plan.
Yeah, well, look, let's face it. Years ago, when we were coming up anyway, our dads didn't go out dolphin fishing, and they didn't go out wahoo fishing. That was all bycatch.
Right.
Okay? We went out there to catch sailfish, white marlin, blue marlins, or swordfish. That was it. That's it, exactly, okay? And that's all we wanted to catch, and it didn't matter, okay? And if you happen to catch a dolphin, fine. If you happen to load the boat with them, fine. But, it wasn't our main quarry. And I just, over the years, it kind of seems like, now all of a sudden everybody wants to go catch bycatch, and now they got bycatch tournaments.
Fun fish.
Yeah, they're fun fish. They didn't even have a name for the specific fish in the divisions. They were just called fun fish.
Right, fun fish.
Right.
I remember in the late 70s and early 80s, all the tournaments were called
Billfish tournaments. Absolutely.
So you had the Fort Lauderdale Billfish Tournament, the Dade Billfish Tournament, the Miami Billfish Tournament. Right.
Yeah.
Everything was the Billfish Tournament. And then if you tied and somebody caught like a 30-pound, blackfin tuna or a big wahoo or something.
You got a little money for it, and you got a trophy for it or something like that.
Right. It was like recognition.
Exactly.
So what changed that?
Sorryism.
Yeah, I just lowering of standards.
Sorryism.
The tournaments did it to themselves.
Look,
I think the tournaments. I think the tournaments adjusted to the anglers, but let's just say that along with a lot of other things, is the bars have been set way low now. Yeah. So like if you buy a boat and you buy some rods and everything, you can enter a tournament.
you have a shot.
Right. You can get in there. You can get your kingfish or sailfish or
prepackaged.
Right. Your tuna.
Everything's prepackaged now.
Right.
Okay.
So, and then you get like instant gratification.
Yeah, exactly. You're somebody if you go out and catch a 30-pound kingfish. Well, I'll tell you where it really, where that really happened was with SKA. SKA changed the face of tournaments altogether. Okay, when we were coming up and fishing tournaments, nobody wore team shirts and team this and their hats, and they had, it wasn't anything like that. Okay, there was camaraderie.
Everybody wore the same tournament shirt.
No, not back in the day.
Well, like I'm just saying, if you and I were both in the Fort Lauderdale Billfish tournament, we both got those shirts.
The actual from the tournament itself.
From the shirts. Then we'd wear the shirts.
But there were no team shirts.
Right.
Okay.
We were showing up with
shirts. There wasn't team
shirts.
Lunkerdog. There wasn't team this. There were team that. Okay.
Right.
And SKA changed it. Okay. And now you got SKA coming along. All right. And they set up a whole circuit, and they changed the face of really sport fishing in South Florida and really all around the Gulf and up the East Coast to the Carolinas, because now all of a sudden everybody had to go 50 miles an hour,
right?
Okay, with big rocket ship engines, and they got their team shirts and their sponsors, and that's another thing that's changed all that with sponsors,
Well, the sponsor thing always seems to change everything, including the SKA. But the SKA is the first time I've ever seen anybody actually weigh a kingfish
in a tournament.
Well, no, by the pound. The only other time that I've heard of people weighing kingfish is by the ton. Like the commercial guys.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
The commercial guys would weigh a kingfish.
Yeah.
But never once did me and my old man come in, get off the boat, at Lauderdale Marina at a registered scale and weigh
a kingfish.
Yeah.
Now you got guys sporting their kingfish.
Do they still have the Fort Lauderdale Billfish Tournament?
No.
There's
no
it's
gone
Billfish
away.
tournaments here?
No Billfish tournament for
away.
Fort Lauderdale. And then the Miami Billfish tournament, I think, is just a swordfish tournament now, if they even have it at all.
No, there is still a Miami Billfish tournament. I'm pretty sure of that. Yeah. But now, of course, sword fishing is also kind of bringing that all back, too, because now you got swordfish tournaments. That's good. That, because then what you got is you got guys that are going out there and they're heavily invested in the sport, and they're going to go out there and they're looking for a billfish. But nobody tries to catch a blue marlin in South Florida anymore.
No.
Who goes out there and pulls dredges and teasers and big baits? And nobody does that.
No, and the ratios out here are almost as good as a lot of good places where they go out and have the blue marlin tournaments. Some places out in the the Bahamas and things like that. As a matter of fact, what was that? When we built the Envy, which was my 31 Bertram, and we specifically built that boat, or rebuilt that boat, I should say, so we could target swordfish and blue marlin right here off the coast of Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
And that was 14, 15 years ago. No, a little less than that. 11, 12 years ago. And we actually spent some time right out front here, actually chasing blue marlin. And we did fairly well. I mean, we caught, I don't know, maybe a half a dozen blue marlin in a 3-year period.
Yeah.
Probably out of I don't know, call it 20 trips or whatever.
Yeah.
And
that's not horrible considering, look, I mean, let's face it, it's South Florida. It's not. And how many times did you really try in a given year?
Well, that's what I mean. We only tried maybe half a dozen times, and
exactly.
But if you did a half a dozen times, you'd come back with 1 or 2 fish, and we raised a lot of fish. So not like we caught every single one of them, but I would say half the time that we went out there targeting them, we had one in the spread.
Yeah.
Yeah, and well, heck, we got 2 on YouTube.
Well, last year I went for a stretch in the springtime where every day we caught a dolphin, there was a bill mark in one of them. Every day.
Right.
Every time we fished, there was about a 5-trip stretch. And I'll tell you, who catches a bunch of them down, not a bunch, but is fairly consistent with them, is the LNH.
Yeah, the LNH,
Okay.
but those guys are phenomenal.
Yeah, no, I understand that. And they're fishing in a great area, too.
They get closer to the mic so they can
they're
hear you.
fishing in a great area, too.
Yeah, it's a little bit better than here, but
Yeah.
But no, those LNH guys are phenomenal fishermen.
Yeah.
I mean, they stand out over the rest. And
that's Jimmy.
Who are those guys?
Jimmy David.
Jimmy David down there at Crandon
Marina.
Yeah, right on Key Biscayne. And I mean, literally between the cutting edge and the L&H.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hand over fist. They catch like 80% of the stuff that comes in on that dock down there. I mean, really good.
They outfish some guys in the Keys.
They're charter guys?
Yeah, they're charter guys.
Yeah.
And, I think they charter fish. They do it the right way. They do it for the right reasons. They're actually trying to catch a lot of big fish. But fishing for blue marlin on that old Ricky Scarborough, kind of like going to the dog track or the horse track. Like, you can't just go out there not looking really good and expect to perform at a high level.
You know, it's all about the game. Okay.
Well, like for instance, Quint at the Orca, that old crap boat that he had. He wasn't doing blue marlin on that boat.
No, he was a cod fisherman at
Right,
best.
a cod fisherman, a shark fisherman, blue fisherman.
Yeah.
But he wasn't out there.
A loser.
Hey, he hates Quint.
Yeah, you know, I got to tell you something. I got mixed feelings about Quint. I really do. I mean, I think the guy probably came from a big background, and he probably had a lot of big sharks under his belt. But I got to tell you what, man, the guy got paid $10,000 to go and catch a shark, and he didn't bring a mate. Now, who does that?
Dude, who does that? Well, Quint did that.
Well, but why? You're gonna pay in 1977. You're gonna pay a mate $35, $40 tops.
Right.
Okay, and you're getting paid $10,000.
So you think Quint came from like a solid background? I was under the impression that like his old man was his drunk. He didn't know who his mom was. So like,
I think he was a drunk because his old man was good.
I think he was drunk because Lamont called him out as a liar.
Well, look, let's face it. You know, he went through 3 wives. The second wife, two wives. He went through 2 wives. And after the second one, he got his ass whooped. In a San Diego bar. That big Chinese guy, he pulled him right over.
Right.
Okay. And so he can't extend his arm. How good of a fisherman can he be?
Well, there's one of those dudes from Wicked Tuna, like when they fish down there in the Carolinas, he's only got 1 arm.
That's right.
But he stinks. He comes in like
worthless.
last. He comes in like last. But he should get a handicap because he's a 1-armed captain. So he should get 2 points for every pound of fish that he catches.
I don't know.
So he can compete with the other Wicked Tuna losers.
Hey, he be doing a lot of things with 1 arm. A lot of people with 2 arms can't even do.
But I guarantee you that Quint was not out there polishing the piss out of his tow rail like you do, Norm.
He didn't even have a tow rail.
Right. Or would appreciate one.
Okay? He didn't even have a tow rail. Now, if you're going to go out and catch marlin, don't you think you got to have a tow rail?
I think it helps.
Okay, I do.
I think if you go out there and you look good.
Well, I'm going to put it to you another way. In 1989, I think it was, I was working on a couple of different boats in St. Thomas. Okay. Virgin Islands. Doing the blue marlin thing in the summertime. Okay. And we went for a stretch where the only boats that raised fish and caught fish, and it was weird. I don't know why it happened, but it was like a 5-day stretch right after the moon in July. Okay. And the only boats that raised and caught fish were custom boats. And that was back when the 54 Bertram was big.
Right.
Okay.
That was a big deal.
All right, but the only boats that caught fish, for whatever reason, were custom boats. And why? Because they had tow rails.
Hey, it's legitimate.
It's science. It's not just legitimate, it's science.
Well, it's a legitimate accessory for a fine boat to have a teak tow rail, mahogany tow rail, some sort of wood tow rail. Now, yours is teak, correct?
Yeah, it's teak. And I got to tell you something, when I bought the boat, you know, it was the whole boat was ratty. I mean, it was really super ratty. I mean, the paint was gone. There was no varnish on the tow rail. It was, or whatever there was left of it, it was pretty much gone. And, you know, as I was guiding in the Keys, I had a lot of my charter boat friends would tell me, "Oh, you just got to paint that thing and be done with it." And I wrestled with that for the better part of 2 years.
Like whether or not just paint over.
Yeah, and you know what? I decided to just go with the varnish. Okay, because in the end of the day, it's still a custom Carolina boat.
No, that's the way
you got to stick to your heritage.
That's the way to keep it up. That'd be like putting white walls on like a '79 Mustang or something. You just don't do that.
No.
So good for you. But how many hours a year are you putting in to keep that teak tow rail up to par, make it look snazzy?
Not much.
What are you thinking?
Not much. I mean, it's probably 2 or 3 coats every 6 months, and that's really all it takes. After you get it done right the first time, it's going to take a few days to get it. And we had to strip it and sand it and do all that kind of happy stuff to it. So that took about 3 or 4 days to really get it right. And then we're going to put some more. We'll add some coats to it probably here in July or August.
Well, you're kind of like the last of the Mohicans. There's not too many guys that actually own Ricky Scarboroughs, especially here in Fort Lauderdale, that are doing their own teak work on their boat.
No, it's not. Well, I've got some help though. I've got some help. I don't do it all myself. It just depends on how busy I am because I've got so much other work that I'm doing. If it gets down to it, I got to call somebody and say, "Hey, listen, I need you to slap a couple of coats on here. It's getting bad."
So you'll get like those teak dudes out there for you.
Oh yeah, and they're worth every penny. There's a zillion guys, and you got to. Your tow rail has to support your local economy to some extent too. Okay, I mean you really do. Okay, so if you've got a boat like this and you do all the work yourself, okay, you're just. You're pretty selfish, so you got to spread it around just a little bit, not much, just a little bit.
I think Quint was doing most of this stuff himself.
$10,000 and he doesn't hire a mate.
Quint
he had no business being out there. He had no business being out there. He's like Mark the Shark.
He had to sell shark jaws out of his house and moonshine.
Yeah, exactly. He had to supplement his income. That's how bad he was.
He wasn't a full-time guy.
Was the moonshine in the movie?
Yeah. Remember, he says, "Don't drink this."
Don't drink it. It's bad.
I could barely remember that.
Oh yeah.
Take us some of this, Cappy.
You think? Well, we don't do moonshine no more, but we got like our own breweries now.
I'm not talking about chasing the bluegills or Tommy cod.
He thought he knew something.
I'm talking about sharking. I'm talking about porkers.
Why was he trying to talk down to Hooper like that when it was obvious that Hooper had way more experience, a way nicer boat, and knew what he was doing? When Quint was acting like he was in charge, but he didn't. The whole miss when he lost his ray and he got mad.
Oh, yes. You see, all right. I'm going to agree with you on that point. I mean, he definitely didn't have a shark. Okay. It was definitely a marlin or game fish or, stingray, whatever. That he bit through the piano wire, that doesn't prove anything. I totally agree with Quint. Hooper. But I'll tell you this much. Did you see the way he was running that boat when they hooked up?
The Orca.
The Orca. Okay, Hooper drives the boat. He couldn't drive a boat to save his life.
No, he wasn't much.
He was
of
a terrible boat driver. Horrible. Okay.
What?
He spent all his time counting money.
What term did Hooper use when he was trying to help the guys out of the dock the day the big tournament started or the big bounty started? And there were 2 guys that were docked next to each other, and he was like, "Don't raise sail in here.
You're just gonna lump it."
Yeah.
That was it. You got to scull it out of here.
What does that mean, scull it?
Row. Just take an oar and paddle out.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Right? Could you imagine doing that down there at the Lauderdale Yacht Club?
I think that's all they know how to do. Okay, the Lauderdale Yacht Club, you got to be about 120 years old in order to be eligible for membership and have genuinely poor taste in clothing.
So how many times did you get turned down over there?
Oh, I'm telling, they won't even let me in there. Okay, sky blue knee-high socks, black Bermuda shorts, anything with a duck on it is looked upon favorably, and that's your yacht club.
What's the going rate for the Lauderdale Yacht Club now?
I don't know.
I don't know what the downstroke is.
You got to
be $10,000 a year.
You got to be.
No,
you got to be sponsored.
Well, yeah, you got to be sponsored.
You got to be sponsored.
You got to agree that it's okay that you go in.
And I think once you're in, you got to wear a patch. Don't you? Don't they have yacht club patches?
Well, they have that. Like if you go to the annual or the monthly meeting or whatever, you guys all show up with the same yacht club patch and all that. But I can
see Sobokowitz just getting ready right now.
I think it's 15 to 20 grand a year. I think it's 15 to 20 grand a year to for your membership, and then they take the cash, and then like say 10,000 of that is credit for food and drinks and anything else.
Yeah.
And then you either use it or you don't, something like that. But I don't know. I think I pissed everybody off at the yacht club when we were fishing with the Nicole Victoria and the Zen dog, because Zen would enter all the yacht club tournaments and then we'd win and then they'd get pissed, and then it was like, oh well, that guy's a pro, he probably shouldn't even be in this tournament anyway. And basically that's just income racism. Like they know I don't have the cash to put down for the membership, and they know that
my father was actually offered a membership.
Your name ends in a vowel.
My father was offered a membership there, and he turned it down.
There's no Italian members.
There's Italian members in the yacht club. I even know one.
There's Italians. Not too many Jews.
No Jews at the yacht club.
No. They may have changed
and if it's
that.
an Italian, it's the wife. It's not the husband.
Dan Pacella's a member. He's the kid. He's the kid's dad that rides around with the Trump flag on the flats boat.
What's the name?
Pacella.
Okay.
Dan Pacella.
Things are changing.
Right? Things are changing. But then again, he did marry old school Fort Lauderdale girl Schofield. So that might have had something to do with it
Probably. So he inherited it.
Or he got like extra people to vouch for him to get in.
He got sponsored up.
Plus he had the cash. Are they taking cash at the yacht club? No.
I don't think
They're
so.
taking cash everywhere.
I don't think they touch cash there.
They'll juice you in.
They take cash down there? I go down there. So I go down there 50 grand cash.
If you went down there 50 grand cash, there would be somebody there to take it.
500 grand
like
cash?
Your kid in a good school. 500 grand.
Okay, so it's proportionate to the college thing.
Can we talk about that for a second? Who pays $500,000 to get their kid into USC? All right, Harvard, Yale.
Well, if you got
to Hollywood, USC.
But
USC?
USC?
The UFC film school.
But if you got 250 mil, $500,000's no big deal for that. How much did that chick got?
The husband has the money.
How
she
much?
has money. He's Mossimo Clothing. He's a clothing designer.
Hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
So if you got hundreds of mil, I mean,
And it's not that cut and dry. Okay, I got thrown out of a public school. By law, you have to go to a school. So now what? Now I go to a private school, right?
Right.
What happens when I tell my mom, no, we don't want him here either? Then my mom has to cough up more money.
Right?
And then you go to that school. And then I get thrown out of that. Private school. And then it's like, oh, wow, I wonder if he can go into high school. He only got thrown out of middle school.
No, by then they end up as deckhands on ADOC.
Then I end up going to another public school, get thrown out of that. And now the word is really out, like this school, that, Pinecrest, Westminster, Gibbons, American Heritage, da-da-da. You're done.
Oh, you're blacklisted.
Blacklisted.
You're totally blacklisted. You have to move to a different city.
So everybody got it real quick.
Or a different county.
Oh, she paid $500,000 to get her kid in college. Well, what if the other schools turned them down?
See, everything's so capitalistic nowadays. Like, when I was getting into college, no one thought about cash. We were all worried about our 40 times. And if you had a decent 40 time, that was kind of like having
a jump shot you can get in.
Right, that was kind of like having the $500,000 bucks.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just straight.
That's just straight cash.
Right.
It's all about the cash. Straight up.
And it was a slap in the face to Maritimers like you and me, Norm.
Oh,
because
man.
she got in under the crew scholarship.
You could buy a wing, or $500,000. You're not buying a wing, but you could buy an equipment, something or other, fix up the weight room for $500,000, get a plaque on there, and then get your daughter in. But these people were bribing people to take the SAT.
Well, now.
I want to tell her, a lot of people
old
say
school.
that federal prisons are like country clubs, they're not. I've been to both. They're nothing alike.
What do you mean you've been to both?
I've been to both.
You visited.
The worst public.
What do we know?
The best, nicest federal prison, way worse than the Lauderdale Yacht Club or any of these country clubs. Dude, you got to shit in front of people.
I could do it.
No, but let's, as a record straight, you were visiting. You weren't sentenced.
We're talking about these people here in California that are paying off other people to take this.
He's avoiding.
I think there's something he's not telling us.
He's avoiding
the question. He's deflecting. He's totally deflecting.
They're going to do time. That girl's going to do 5 years. Whether people like seeing her dragged off in handcuffs, that's another thing.
You don't think they're going to drag her off in handcuffs?
I'd like to see at least a perp walk.
We didn't get that. That was Friday, right?
A perp walk.
A perp walk?
Yeah.
What's a perp walk?
It's where you get arrested,
and
when you get arrested, they walk you out to...
Oh, with the uniform on? With the orange suit on? They're not doing that to her.
No, but I mean, it would be great to see it. Do you remember that Lindsay Lohan thing? Was it Lindsay Lohan? I don't remember. She went to jail, and everybody was staked out watching the perp walk. It was like the biggest thing since OJ.
Yeah, but that chick, like, they gave her like 10 or 12 times not to do the walk. And then she kept screwing up so bad where they finally did the walk.
She was screwing up so bad they kicked her out of jail. She's the only person I know that ever got kicked out of jail. She got kicked out of jail. She wasn't released. She was kicked out of jail. That's what happened.
All right.
How do you get kicked out of jail?
I thought, it's hard to get kicked out of jail.
She's supposed to do like 30 days, and she ended up doing like 14 or 15. Yeah. They had like a Lindsay Lohan watch.
Yeah.
Okay, not that I'm a TMZer over here, but I mean, you know, that's Busaka. I mean, he could probably talk a little bit more intelligently.
Busaka's going to be here soon.
Where is he?
He's on his way over.
Did you see that meme today about Sobokowitz? I think Sobokowitz put it up. If you're gonna do a movie, who plays you? Like, what actor plays you?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was genius. It was on the Mullet Run.
So what actor would play you?
Well, I don't know. Look, it's a toss-up. Okay, I'm thinking. I don't know if Billy Joel has ever done any acting. Okay, but I could see it if he did. All right. Otherwise. I really don't know. I mean, I'm thinking that kid from...
So you're thinking Billy Joel would do you, maybe?
I'm thinking, yeah.
That's pretty good.
You're thinking Oliver from the Brady Bunch.
Doing me?
Yeah.
No, not Oliver. Who is the other kid? The middle one.
Peter,
yeah.
Christopher Knight.
Very good.
Here we go.
Of Christopher Knight and the Brady Bunch.
Here we go again. These guys talking about actors and stuff by their first names, like we know what they're talking about. Now, I think I would get Tom Cruise to play me.
Tom Cruise,
right?
As his role in Castaway.
That was Tom Hanks.
No, Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
I'm sorry. See, this is how much I pay attention to movies. Tom Cruise would play you.
Tom Cruise, Risky Business.
Yeah, Tom Cruise.
Who's the guy that played Joe Dirt?
David Spade.
I'm kind of thinking more or less David Spade. But David Spade playing Joe Dirt as Jeff Maggio.
I don't even know who that is.
Y'all have to go out there and look it up and tell me if I'm off base. You know who would play Robert Sylvia?
Oh,
Ron Jeremy.
I was just
all
about to
day
say
long.
Ron Jeremy.
Which one's Ron Jeremy?
Ron Jeremy, you know the X-rated actor.
Yeah.
So Busaka walks in here and just takes the mic from Lamont.
I didn't just take it from
you. Did you? I just watched you take it from him.
He handed it to me.
That's BS.
You know what that is? That's entitlement.
Is that
That's
entitlement?
the difference between our generation and his.
The millennials.
Do you consider yourself a millennial?
Not a typical.
You have a job, don't you?
I do.
And you don't live in your mother's basement.
No.
He's trying, this kid.
We're
proud of you, by the way.
Yeah.
But look, you come in, you take Lamont's headphones,
Boom.
you take Lamont's mic,
Boom.
and look, you hurt his feelings.
He's over there in the corner.
And he's gone now.
I'll make it up to him. He knows I'll make it up to him.
I think you're right. I think it's a sense of entitlement.
I think it is.
Hey, at least I said please and thank you.
I didn't hear it.
I didn't hear you say,
didn't
can
hear
I
it.
have the mic, please?
I didn't hear it.
Oh, can
Do
I
you mind if I sit in, guys?
Can I have the headphones? Oh, thanks, Lamont. I didn't hear that at all.
I said it really low. I didn't want to interrupt your guys' I didn't want to steal your guys' thunder, so I said it real low.
Man.
You said it real low.
I said it real low. Low and slow.
You can hear everything on these mics.
That's fantastic.
I'm starting to think that
I think when we do the playback,
we're
gonna have to listen for it.
I'll turn up the volume like real high and find out.
So we were just talking about, who would play you or us as if they made a fishing movie about us. Who would play you? I know who would play you.
But the dude from American Pie would play Busaka.
No, but very close.
Who?
Very
Wait,
close.
American Pie. I've never seen any of
Jason Biggs. No,
Who would play
definitely not Stifler.
Am I the only one that doesn't know these actors by first names? Please
Okay.
call
Who
them by
would
their
play you
character
in the movie? Busaka.
Okay, there's one person that I could maybe see, but I don't think any of you guys... Well, you might know who he is.
Fredo.
No. He's dead.
Rest in peace, Cazales.
Yes.
Who?
Fredo.
No, not Fredo. I'm thinking maybe... Remember Alexis Denisov?
From?
Allison Hannigan's husband.
No.
No.
Oh, you
No.
guys are killing me.
Well, hold on a second. Who was going to play Jeff? Did we settle on
It
that?
was
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise. Jesus.
Hold back.
In the
Tom Cruise
I could see...
as Tom Cruise playing his character in Born of the 4th of July. I could kind of see that.
no.
I could see Robert Shaw playing
Sobokowitz
Jeff.
didn't ask.
No.
Sobokowitz did not ask you guys who you thought should play you.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He did. That's exactly what he
No,
did.
Yeah.
he didn't. No, he didn't ask about you guys. Like, you're supposed to answer for yourself, not for me.
Yeah.
And
No,
you guys
I
are
understand
answering for me.
But you actually see yourself as Tom Cruise?
No. But I just think it's rude that you guys are answering for me. First, Busaka takes Lamont's stuff. Then you guys start answering for me. We're gonna have to have an etiquette.
I gotta tell you who will play Busaka.
Who?
Okay, John Cryer.
Yes.
All day
Agreed,
long.
yes.
John
Wait, let me look him
Cryer.
up. I'm trying. I
Who's
know
John
the name.
Cryer?
John
I'm just trying to
Cryer
figure out.
from
16 Candles.
16
Three
Candles,
things,
three and a half men or 2.5 men. Not,
that was the one
not
that played
Charlie
Sheen's
Sheen.
brother,
He
right?
could,
Or
now,
cousin?
now Charlie Sheen, I could kind of see
As Jeff?
as Jeff. I could kind of see that
I could see.
as an older Charlie Sheen. That's just kind of sliding.
I could see Robert Shaw if he had longer
Will you,
black hair.
Lamont, will you
as
please
Jeff.
pull up the meme? Does it say anything about talking about the other person?
No,
It doesn't, right?
no, it doesn't.
So why are these guys talking
No, but it's
about
like
me?
open for. It's an open
It's
discussion.
an open discussion.
Like you say who you want to play you, and then unless you turn commenting off, then other people can be like, "Oh, thumbs up, thumbs down, yay, nay."
Norm, who do we say would play you?
Well, I the only way that I responded was to ask a question, and the question is, does Billy Joel do any acting?
Oh, duh, that's right. How do we forget that?
Okay. Otherwise, it's Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
No, Robert
Otherwise,
Sylvia
it's
is the
Bruce
easy.
Willis.
So you're
Robert
just
Sylvia's
picking
the
bald
easiest
people.
one.
Huh?
So you're just picking bald people.
Cool bald people.
It doesn't,
Vin
no,
Diesel.
hair is irrelevant because they can fix that in makeup. If it can be an actor, they shave his head. Here, let me see. Let me just.
Well, I can see it coming right now. No. You know what? I'm thinking. You know who I got? You know what I used to tell? You know who used to?
I used to get Mikey from Life cereal.
Let's look him
When
up.
I was a kid, when I was a little kid, they said I looked exactly like Mikey from Life cereal. You remember those commercials? Hey, Mikey, he likes
I
it.
remember.
Yeah.
He ate the Pop Rocks, died, came back.
No, that was the beaver.
I found Norm.
You guys can't.
God.
Vince D'Onofrio. I can see it.
Pile?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, Jeff, what do you think?
Maybe.
Vince D'Onofrio could play Norm.
Maybe.
I gotta see. Like, I didn't see that movie or nothing. I gotta see like the person in acting. Busaka, me and Norm are gonna take the Scarborough out on multiple sessions to try to catch a blue marlin.
Yeah.
And we were just kind of wondering if you would get off the Sheepshead docks and maybe at least do 1 or 2 trips with us.
Dude, you're not even going to ask me twice.
You're
I think that's definitely in. Yeah.
right.
Yes, absolutely.
How old are you now, Norm?
51.
And I'm 50. So that means you get to pull in the dredges.
Deal.
The young guy.
Yeah, but he's got to rig the dredges.
I don't trust him for that. but I will let him pull in the
I don't know
dredges.
if we could fish a dredge from my boat.
Oh, we're definitely fishing dredges from your boat.
Yeah.
I'll show you.
Okay.
But yeah, no, we're doing dredges, and we might only do one big dredge down the center. We might not do two small dredges, but I'm thinking like a 48 item dredge right down the center, right in the white water, and then run 2 more teasers right off the gunnel, right off the cleats on the top.
Yeah.
Have one bait in the water short right behind the dredges and the teasers, have one bait in the water long, and that's it.
And that's it. That's all you need.
And a pitch bait in case like a really big one pulls up, but I don't think a really big one's going to come up.
So we're going to be going for blue marlin, right?
Yes.
That's what you guys used to do, you and Mitchell in the Bahamas, right?
Mitchell and I used to do some tournaments over in the Bahamas, and then we also, I used to run Mark Tupper's boat back in those days. And then when I would take that boat out, we would either do a tournament or we'd go to some destination. He liked to go down south. He liked to go down to Cat Island, and Mitchell would often go with me on those trips.
Cat was a special place.
Cat's still a special place. As a matter of fact, if you want to go someplace special in the Bahamas anymore, you kind of need to get way down south.
And K-Sal. K-Sal Bank.
Yeah, K-Sal's
an awesome place.
I mean, like the Abacos now is like the Keys. I mean, there's people everywhere. Oh my God.
They all go to the Abacos.
And then
And Exumas too.
Right,
Pigs.
and you would think there'd be that many more people fishing for blue marlin.
They're not.
No, they're
They're
fishing
not.
for dolphin.
They're not even doing that. They're bar hopping.
Well, I was
Feeding pigs.
That's what chubs become.
Feeding pigs. Spearfishing.
There's only one real guy that's in chub right now.
Who's that?
That's Skipper.
Gentry.
Yeah. Skipper's actually I think he's on Andros, but I think all his customers go to chub.
I liked it because he pulled that Carolina boat down to Lunkerdog. What was that, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
That was kind of cool.
I was telling Jeff yesterday, I think that me and
I
a
was
buddy
there.
of mine are going to go down to
Yeah,
Bimini.
yeah. Huh?
Remember, I was telling you yesterday, I think me and my buddy might go down to Bimini into May.
Yeah, Busaka wants to go over to Bimini and wade for bonefish.
Bonefish.
Have you caught a bonefish?
I haven't.
It's really spectacular.
That's what I've heard.
I've done it over there, and I got to tell you something. You're in the water the whole time. Well, most of the time you're in the water.
Yeah.
Okay? And when you fish the tide change, you feel that rush of warmer water. Okay? Because when the tide goes out, the water gets cooler. Okay? It actually gets cooler, and that new water, when it comes in on the tide change, it gets a little bit warmer, and everything on that flat just comes to life. And you see those first you see those big schools of Maharos. See the big schools of Maharos. And then the Maharos split and the big bonefish show up. And it's amazing. It's an amazing experience.
So I never bonefished in Bimini.
Oh yeah, it's great.
There's a ton of it out in the Abacos and stuff. But
Yeah.
There's supposed to be a ton of them over there in Bimini.
Oh yeah, dude, they get huge flats.
And they
back
get
there.
big ones.
Do they?
They do.
Yeah,
get
they
big
do
ones,
get
right?
big ones. There are not a lot of places in the Bahamas where you can reasonably expect to catch a big bonefish. For whatever the reason, most Bahamian bonefish are
They're small. Yeah.
But there's lots of them. Like you'll see a school of 500 fish.
Right.
Okay.
Right,
but
yeah.
but Bimini is one of those places where you can catch a big fish. Okay. Andros is another one. Okay.
Yeah, I never spent any time in the backcountry in Bimini. I go over there for a tournament maybe, or for a one-nighter maybe, but never spent any time like on the back of the island or anything.
Well, I'll tell you how I found out about it. Okay, it was years ago. This was probably 1980 or 81. A boat called the Screaming Eagle. I don't know if you remember that
I do
boat.
remember the Screaming Eagle.
Okay.
Was that a striker?
No, it was a. You're thinking of the War Eagle.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. The Screaming Eagle was a Bertram. Okay, and Eric was the captain. I'm trying to remember his last name. I'll remember. At any rate, they caught a big blue marlin in Bimini on a rigged bonefish.
Yeah, I've heard
Okay,
that.
and
Yeah, I've heard that.
and everybody ran to the flats to go stock up on bonefish. Okay, so you had
can't be
guys.
illegal.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Dude,
this is
everything was
1980.
illegal over there
yeah.
then.
Okay, and so we were going over there. We went over there, and we're catching, half dozen bones, 6-7 bones, freezing them, and head rigging them the next day. Okay, and they caught fish. They caught a lot of fish.
Busaka, it's not exactly what you would call a natural progression from going from sheep's head
to blue marlin.
straight to bonefish.
Bonefish. Well, I gotta tell you, Ryan up in Canada was the one who inspired me, because if you guys have noticed, I think in the past 2 years, he's been the only one that was actually posting a bonefish.
Them bonefish, man.
He was the only one, and he caught it in the Bahamas.
No, he caught it in Cuba.
Caught it in Cuba.
He
was
caught
it
it in Cuba.
Oh, it was Cuba?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But still, I mean, the Canadian's the only one that posted the bonefish, and I want to actually try to kind of follow in his footsteps.
Well, isn't Kean catching bonefish?
No.
Kean? Yeah.
Where is he?
Where was he?
I haven't seen Kean in forever. He caught that one wahoo, and I think he retired.
He retired
That was
after
a
the
big
bottom.
wahoo.
That was the last time I saw Kean fish.
That was a big wahoo.
We should do a Kean watch. Like, has anybody seen Kean?
Yeah.
So, Busaka, I would strongly suggest sight fishing for your sheep's head in
Practice.
preparation for stalking the bones.
Now, I do have a serious question, though. How far, like if you're using a live shrimp for those bonefish, how far of a lead do you want to give them?
In the Bahamas?
Yeah.
Depends
5-7
on how
feet?
fast they're moving.
From my experience, I mean, most of the bone
8-10
fishing I've
feet.
done within Grand Bahama and Abaco,
Yeah.
but if you get anywhere close to the school, 90% of the time they run over to it and just get it. It's not like Biscayne Bay or
Where they
Isla Morada.
Well, I did a lot of bone fishing with croca. Okay. A lot
In
of
Isla
people.
Morada.
No, in Biscayne Bay.
In Biscayne Bay.
Okay. And a lot of people don't know this about Biscayne Bay, and I mean, Carl Ball can tell you all day long, okay, but Biscayne Bay has some of the best bone fishing. You don't have to go, Miami is so good, you don't have to go far to catch a bonefish. You want to catch a bonefish, go with Carl Ball in Biscayne Bay,
Now,
and you'll catch a bonefish.
I spent a lot of time in Biscayne Bay bone fishing,
With,
and you got to make the correct cast in Biscayne
Absolutely.
Bay.
yeah.
You do not necessarily have to make the correct cast in Abaco or Grand Bahama. You're almost casting most of the time to a school of fish instead of one fish, and then when your bait hits the water, the fish is curious and goes over to it a lot of times.
The Bahamian bones are certainly first-timer friendly, okay?
That's
for
what
sure.
But to catch a bonefish in Biscayne Bay, you got to know how to throw.
Yeah, you got to be
You
polished.
got to know how to throw. Okay, and I mean, I could tell you all kinds of stories about Croca. Croca was so good; he'll tell you where the bonefish was going to be coming from and to, and he'd make you make practice casts to the spot. It'd be staked out on a flat, chumming that spot. He said, "All right, the bonefish are going to come out of the channel. They're going to come from left to right, and this is your shot." Okay, and he'd make you make that shot with a bait, 3, 4, 5 times, and then sure enough, here they come, just like they were on cue. Boom. And if you didn't put it right on the dinner plate, you wouldn't catch the
You
fish.
wouldn't get them.
You see, this is where Google and all the social media and search engines fail, because they're not. If you type in best bone fisherman or best inshore fisherman ever, I don't know, you might get Blacktip H,
You won't get.
but you're not going to get Mark
You won't
Croca.
get Mark Croca.
You're not going to get Mark.
Do you know
Croca.
Mark Croca is the winningest backcountry guide ever?
Didn't know
He's
that.
got more wins under his belt in tournaments, in Keys backcountry tournaments, tarpon tournaments, bonefish tournaments, whatever. Okay, he's done it all.
All I can tell you about Croca is he was my inspiration to be a full-time inshore guy.
Oh, he was running the dog.
Right. He was doing.
Yeah.
He was doing stuff that I did decades
him
after.
and Richard Fairbanks.
Decades before.
Yeah.
And I would be, I was young. I was 8, 9, 10, 12 years old. And I'd be up there at Lauderdale Marina and be sitting on that. He had a flat skiff way back then, which was not normal. Like, you didn't see
nobody
flat
fished
skiffs.
here in a flat skiff.
He didn't see flat skiffs. He had Mavericks. And
Still does.
I would watch him, and I'd just be like, man, that guy actually fishes inshore here. I'm doing the offshore stuff, and I know
Yep.
about the big boats and about the blue marlin tournaments, and then I come back to the gas dock, and there's Croca. And he was the first person that I was actually inspired to get into this line of work. Like, he inspired me because I knew that he could do it right here in Fort Lauderdale. And I knew that he was one of the best dudes in the industry. And I was like, if he can do it, I can do it.
Super nice guy. And when you fish with him, look, there's a difference between charter captains and guides.
Correct.
Okay? And the big difference is a guide knows everything about how that fish is going to react given the tide, given the wind, given your weather conditions, given the time of the year, okay? They know where they're going to move. They're going to know how they're going to move. They're going to know what they're going to respond to. And all of that stuff. Jeff knows all that stuff, okay? And, Mark, going with a guy like Mark, it's almost like you're talking to a marine biologist as much as you are a guide.
Well, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
You get an education in the biology of the fish as much as you do about how to catch it.
Got any clue how old Croca is now?
Croca? Oh boy, he's got to be. I'll bet you Mark Croca is 56 or 57. I don't think he's 60 yet.
Oh, so he's relatively young then.
I don't know. I think he's older than that. I'm 50. You're 51. Croca was guiding when we were in high school.
I should call him up on the phone right now.
Croca was guiding when I bet he's close to 60. I bet he's close to 60.
Yeah, he might be. He might be.
I haven't seen him in 15 years.
I used to see him every day last year when I was in the Keys.
That's pretty
Not
cool.
last year, but the year before.
He was fish right out of Bud and Mary, or what is that? Wide World of Sportsman Marina or whatever?
He would pick up bait at Worldwide.
Oh, okay.
So he'd come in there and stock up on crabs and shrimp and all kinds of other stuff. So I saw him fairly frequently. I probably saw him 2-3 times a week. But just a genuine golden dude. I mean, he's a real guy from way back.
What's up with all the signs in the Keys telling you what you can't do?
What you
especially
can't do?
What you can't do, especially like Islamorada area.
You know what it is?
What?
Miami.
What do you mean?
Miami has infected the Keys. Okay, and
elaborate. I don't get. Explain exactly what you mean, because
Miami. I love Miami. Okay, I love it for its natural beauty and its fishing and everything. Its food, but the people that don't stay in Miami in the weekends go to the Keys, and it's awful. I mean, these people come down there. They don't care about the Keys. They bring their jet skis. They bring their quad screw sandbar boats.
Well,
they're down there, and they just infect the Keys.
So that's why there's signs up everywhere telling you you can't do this and you can't do that.
Yep.
Because the kids, we spend a little bit of time down there in the summers because the wife's partner's got a nice place down there, and a lot of our friends have places down there. And we go down there, and I kind of want the kids to, get off their phones and go explore, maybe do some fishing off the docks, maybe go find a bridge somewhere or whatever. And it's hard.
You can't do it.
There's so many rules and regulations, and everybody's a friggin' rat down there.
And I'll tell you what, everything else about the Keys, it's like...
You're laughing. There are a bunch of rats down there.
There's a whole bunch of rats down there.
I'll tell you a quick story. So we're down there in Islamorada, okay? And I'm with my brother-in-law, who's a Canadian dude. And he'd never really been down to the Keys, and never really saw the crawfish and stuff before. So we're there, we're hanging out, and you know how all the crawfish are by the main shore along the rocks and stuff where you're not allowed to spear them or anything, or catch them or anything. And so we jump out of the boat, and we're swimming over there, and I'm showing the kid all the lobsters. And somebody is standing on the shore, maybe 20 feet from us, on the phone with the cops.
Yep.
Just looking at them.
Just
ratting them out.
All we're doing is looking at the crawfish.
Yeah,
I'm showing them what they look
no.
like because we're going to go out later and try to get some out in the bay. And I'm like, yeah, you got to just know how to see them. Once you know how to see them, it's pretty easy. And he's like, I'm like, they're all over the shoreline here. So we went over there, we swam over there. We're looking at the crawfish. I popped my head out of the water, and some idiot sitting there on the phone with the cops and then yelling at me about being there. And I'm like, dude, I was like, I don't even have a bag or a set of gloves to harvest any of these things. I'm simply showing my brother-in-law who's never seen a crawfish before. You think the person would talk to you like a normal person? No, they talk to you like a rat. And the next thing you know, the cops were there. And I'm like, what are you guys getting all upset about? Like, we don't have any crawfish. We didn't try to get any crawfish. We're just swimming in the water because of some rat.
It's mini season. Mini season is what has brought that on. Okay, over the years, mini season has become this. I don't even know what to call it. It's insane. Okay,
You don't even go. I'll put it to you another way. The weekend of mini season, I didn't take any charter trips because I didn't want to be out there. Or if I did take a charter trip, we had to fish the humps. We had to go way offshore. I didn't want to be anywhere near any of the reefs during mini season because it was that insane.
Yes.
Okay. And you can't deal with it. Okay. And all these guys, they come down the Keys and they wreck the Keys and they litter everything, and now they're taking lobsters from docks and all kinds of places. You know, what you dealt with there's a rule. You cannot take lobsters from shorelines and man-made structures.
Right.
Okay, so you can't dive around the bridges. Obviously, they don't want guys staked out around the bridges where all the traffic is. They don't want them along the docks. They don't want anybody diving on their personal property. And I get it, okay, for safety.
I understand the rules.
But the residents have taken it to that next level.
Well, I mean, like, you know, we were staying in the same, call it resort or area,
right?
You know, where we were looking at the crawfish, and the person could have spoke with me first and said, "Hey, sir,
he could have been a gentleman about
you
it.
You do realize that you can't harvest crawfish from the shore like this,
right?"
But instead of doing that, he was on the phone with the cops.
Yeah, he wanted to be a social warrior,
and he wanted to go back and brag to the rest of the people in the Civic Association on how he's like, you know, some super tough guy rat that's going to be the whoever.
When I lived down there, I had run-ins with people like that.
So you know what I'm talking about.
Okay, I know exactly what you're talking.
Not fabricating.
No, I had run-ins with people like that, and I dealt with them accordingly.
Well, it pisses me off when.
But you also have to look at it another way.
Well,
okay, and you have to look at it from their perspective. Okay, you know, you live down there, you live and work in the Keys. Okay, and you got all these people that come down from Miami, and they are from Miami. I promise you. Okay, and they disrespect the Keys.
I understand.
Okay?
I understand.
You wouldn't want that. You don't like it when they come down here. Okay, and you got all these boats flying around all over the place and everything else like that, and they're disrespecting our waterways. Well, it's the same thing with the guys down there, but it's a little bit more provincial down there because these guys really take it to a little bit.
It's kind of like an extension of like a condo commando.
It absolutely
mentality
is.
Down there.
Oh yeah,
and not only the adults have to deal with it, but the kids that are running around trying to have a good time are dealing with it also. And it's just hard for me to, how do I say, put my guards down and relax.
No, you can't.
Especially
if you got kids.
You can't.
You can't.
So instead, I think we're going to totally bypass everything north of Long Key.
It's not a bad idea.
You know what I mean?
It's not a bad idea. And I'll tell you what, you know, listen, a lot of these guys, they got hurt real bad from Hurricane Irma, and they're just starting to come back in the Keys. And I do mean that. I mean, it takes, generally speaking, it takes a year for a tourism destination such as the Keys to come back from a major hurricane. Because if you think about it, you know, most people plan their vacations at least a year out.
Right.
Okay. And they you know, they save all their money, and they're going to go to the Keys for a week or two, and you know, listen, that's what they do. And so when Hurricane Irma hit and it wrecked everything, they all pulled their money back out of there, okay, and they made plans to go elsewhere. So now it took a year for the Keys to bounce back, and now it is bouncing back. And I can tell you this much right now: if you're planning to go to the Keys, you know, go down there, show some respect. Okay, go down there, be low key, don't be from Miami. Okay, you guys from Miami, y'all need to go someplace else. Either stay in Miami, go to, you know, do the South Beach thing. Okay, but the guys from Miami, the jet skiers, the sandbar guys,
the sandbar people are tough.
Those guys, they need to just stay out of the Keys because they're just worthless.
They're worthless, and you think it's destroying the attitude amongst the residents there.
That's why they're so amped up.
Well,
okay. They also need to get rid of mini season.
Yeah,
you can catch lobsters all year
I know,
long, and everybody freaks out over mini-season.
I never understood the big rage for mini-season. I really didn't. Years ago, it was kind of fun. You know what I mean? Because, okay, it was mini-season, but it wasn't like you're saying, it wasn't like complete chaos for 3 days.
No.
And the Bahamas is the same way.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I'm over there. We're in Scotland Key, right?
Yeah.
It's a private island. And, I mean, my friend that has the place over there in Scotland is virtually at his dock yelling at people to stay away from his dock where he sets his own, what they call condos over there, for his own little lobster catch.
Yeah.
And literally is policing his own backyard and realize this is 200 miles out in the middle of the Atlantic. But because of mini-season over there, it's totally nuts.
It's crazy.
It is. It's totally nuts. So you're right. They should get rid of You should get rid of mini-season. But anyway, Norm, I think it's a pretty good session for a podcast today. Now, Norm being a local here and being a good buddy of mine, I think we're going to have him back over and over again. We're going to call him a regular character on the podcast. And if you guys got any questions for Norm or want to reach out, you can do it through the Real Guy Podcast Facebook group. Also, that's where we host and publish all the podcasts first, as they first go to that group. And some new information is we're finally getting up on iTunes, Blueberry, Podbean, Spotify, and I was going to say Stitcher, but it didn't accept my feed, so
I have absolutely no idea what any of that is.
These are all different places that you can... Stitcher.
What the heck is Stitcher?
Basically, it's
is
like...
Is that somebody with a sewing machine?
No. But you can go to Stitcher.
What is Stitcher?
It's a website that hosts podcasts, just like iTunes. There's another site called Blueberry. There's another site called Podbean. Yeah, dude, I know. I'm not exactly like...
I'm over here shaking my head.
Well, I'm not exactly like up on this stuff, but I do believe that podcast is the future for this type of conversation and media. Because there's no other place that you can sit down. We've been sitting down for an hour now.
Yeah.
Talking about whatever we want to talk about, and anybody else can enjoy or not enjoy whatever it is that we're talking about. And we can get into things and laugh and have a good time and actually...
Well, it's like a radio... You know what it is? You know what podcasts are? Back before there was television, there was only radio.
Right.
Okay? And it was all scheduled, and they had, XYZ radio shows.
Right.
Okay? And now, podcasts are bringing that back because of the invention of the computer.
Well, correct. And, everybody...
It's a radio show.
And everybody can have their own audience.
Right, exactly.
Right. So anyway...
It's like YouTube of radio.
Yeah, dude, YouTube's got me. I'm so done with YouTube and all these algorithms and stuff. I was watching some fishing shows on the Discovery Channel today, which is kind of what we're...
On the Discovery Channel.
Exactly. Which is kind of what we're down to because the Sun Foxes and those shows like that are fading away. There's not near as many of them. The ones that are on the local networks now, Sun Channel, they totally blow.
There's a couple of them that are still good.
To you and me,
yeah,
because we're 50 and we're way into fishing, but most of them stink. And the way they're basically like infomercials. So if you want to get like a real storyline,
that Sport Fishing TV, I saw an episode of that the other day.
It's just a giant infomercial.
It's giant infomercial. Right. It was horrible.
It's tough.
That's John Brownlee's show. And he ought to be ashamed of himself.
I don't know about being ashamed of himself, but he's a product of the industry.
Absolutely.
And the industry wants that. The industry pays for that, so they produce that. But Discovery is not supposed to be like that. But what Discovery has done, is very similar to YouTube, is they've gone with, okay, largest number of eyeballs. So first there was a show on sharks, then there was a show on rays, then there was a show on Goliath groupers, back to back to back. And it makes me sick. It totally makes me sick.
Well, it's like Shark Week. It's kind of the same thing. I mean,
it's all the same thing.
It's the same formula, and they just plug in a different fish.
Well, basically, what they're doing is they're totally bypassing the small groups of people that are into various forms of sport fishing,
right,
and going after the masses.
When was the last time you saw a blue marlin get caught on a TV show?
Correct.
When was the last time?
Correct. They don't do that.
I think it was the American Sportsman in 1980.
They don't do that.
Kurt Gowdy.
Right. They don't do that, and if they did do that, it'd be an accident where they got the footage. But it wouldn't be about the trip on, all right, we're going to go for the quest of a blue marlin and then go catch one.
Yeah.
You know? The last stuff I can remember was, what was it called? Extreme bill fishing, where Norm Isaacs was on ESPN.
Covering the BRXL.
The BRXL, right.
Norm Isaacs was a cool guy.
Norm was very cool. I met him a few times at the boat shows over there. He's very nice and everything. But that was the last organization of people that actually tried to put blue marlin, from what I can remember.
Yep.
I could be wrong, on TV.
Yep.
And
Team Affinity and all those guys. Right. I remember those guys, yeah. Sure.
And it was phenomenal, but it was expensive.
Well, they traveled. They had all kinds of travel expenses. Oh. But you got to remember something. The guys, they did something smart. Okay, instead of creating something that didn't exist, they just filmed stuff that was already there. Okay, right. The BXRL already existed. They didn't exist for the TV show.
Right, it wasn't fake.
Right, exactly. So they already had all those teams. They already had those boats that were already over in the Dominican Republic and Cap Cana and all those other places.
But Norm's biggest job in that whole show was to get enough money, to raise enough money to do the production.
It's all about production anyway,
right.
No matter what you're doing.
But the production to do blue marlin or any type of real sport fish, other than sharks, manatees, groupers, and rays, other than that, hence, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because really, I mean, that's what it's coming down to. Let's game the algorithm. Let's do another Goliath. Let's do another shark, so we can get another million people that aren't fishermen.
Oh yeah.
To click on it.
Yep.
And it totally makes me sick, and I'm like, I'm not holding back anymore.
And then what happens is they do sponsored ads for those television shows on your YouTube and on your Facebook and all your social media outlets. And you know what that does? It brings a heightened awareness to all this different types of sport fishing, okay? But the people that are keying in on it all of a sudden think that they're internet experts.
Right. Well, I tell you...
I can't stand internet experts.
Well, I tell you right now, if you think somebody is a fishing expert because they catch sharks and Goliath groupers and rays...
Nope.
Check yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, it's like killing me.
I'm talking about the guy from Indiana...
Right.
Okay, in the middle of winter, and he's telling everybody how to catch Goliath groupers.
Mm-hmm.
Or he's commenting on...
He's a fishing expert because he can catch Goliath groupers and sharks. I mean, really. That's what kind of...
Well, that goes back to what we started the show with, and it's probably a great way to end the show. Okay, the podcast, whatever you want to call it. And it goes back to, if you're out there and you're catching a lot of dolphin, are you really an expert? Dolphin are to South Florida what bluefish are to New England. If you're an expert blue fisherman, are you really an expert fisherman?
Well, I think everybody's a little bit too concerned about being an expert. At least those fools are out there trying to get their mahis and stuff. And
by the way, speaking of mahis, did you see that big mahi that they caught on the Lady Pamela?
I did.
Your buddy?
I thought that was your Uncle Remus. Yeah, I always thought that Lady Pamela dude was your Uncle Remus.
72 pounds.
That's huge.
That's huge.
We've been seeing a lot of big fish.
Yeah.
A lot of big fish. Didn't you want to go down and interview JB about this potential world record?
Oh, I thought we should have him. I thought we should have him on the podcast at some point.
I'm going to reach out to him.
JB would be great on a podcast.
If you guys don't know who JB is is down on A dock here in Fort Lauderdale, Bahia Mar. He's got the pink boat called the Foxy.
No, not anymore.
What?
I don't think he's on the Foxy anymore. I think he's running... He's all over the place. He sold the Foxy.
Did he?
Yeah, he sold it. I think he runs it from time to time, and then I think he's bouncing around on the Happy Day, but he's still on A-Dock.
Okay.
Yeah, he's still around.
And they caught, what was it, 100 and...
It was a 99 or 90...
like a 99-pound kingfish.
Which would have been a state record? Or
It would have been a new world record.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're going to get JB on and maybe talk about that. That'd be kind of cool. Plus, I'd like to get his side to modern day fun fishing tournaments and that kind of thing. He's a salty character. You know what else I'm going to get down there from ADOC? Is JT. I'm going to get John Tedder.
Oh, absolutely.
He's old
In fact,
school.
you have both of those guys.
You have both of those guys in the in at the same time. I think that'd be a blast.
Yeah, that's old school. They've been around forever. They caught tons of fish. But anyway, Norm, thanks for coming in. We look forward to having you in the future. Let's wrap this podcast up.
Yep.
Today's podcast was brought to you by Lunkerdog.com, Captain Jeff, the Lunkerdog, Lamont Jones and Better Duck Studios, special guest Norm Beckoff and Stephen Busaka. Thanks for tuning in. And run that dog, guys.
Run that dog.